Have you ever thought about how difficult it is sometimes to make a decision? Today I'm gonna tell you about how to apply principles from the book The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz to your daily life in marketing or interface design. The first principle is more choice is not necessarily better. Now I will introduce you one of the very common tasks in the field of design. You have a wizard with 4 steps on your side and the client comes up to you and says 4 steps is too much and we need to keep the number of steps as minimal as possible. In the end we get this, 2 steps for which the amount of information is as large as it can be imagined. The problem is that the more options we face, the less likely we are to A. finish the process and B. finish it well. Why is that? There are 2 systems in our head that are responsible for making decisions. The first system is intuitive. It doesn't feel like it requires you to put your power into the calculating the answer or get some information from the environment. The second system is responsible for more deliberate decisions and require more resources from your body. For example, what emotions this person is experiencing. Great, now multiply 23 by 634. This is a prime example of how your brain system works. In the first example, you get the answer subconsciously, but in a second, because you're provided with more information than in the first one, you need to use much more resources to get the answer. So basically, try not to overwhelm users by amount of information that they get. It doesn't mean that you can take 10 input fields and divide them by 10 steps. It means that maybe in one user flow, you can show 5 fields, then on a second day, you can show another 5 fields, and maybe in a different context, so people will be more likely to fill those in. Then principle number 2 is a maximizer and a satisfier. When you look for something in a shoe store, will the first more or less suitable option satisfy you? Or you will go to all shoe stores in the mall trying to find the best pair of shoes that you need? If you answer that you would be satisfied with the first more or less suitable option, then you are a type of person who is most likely to make decisions without difficulty and without much worry. If you are more related to the second group, then most likely it's very often difficult for you to make a decision. This takes a lot of strength from you. How it can be used in design? Very simple. Since people most often do not invest much mental effort while surfing the internet, we need to take this into account and help the person by focusing on the most important things. For example, with text it will look like this. And let's say filters help to make decisions faster and therefore attention should also be focused on them. Principle number 3, peak of the moment and the ending of this moment. The end-to-end rule is a cognitive bias that affects how people remember past events. The intense positive or negative moments, peaks, and the final moments of the experience, the end, are heavily weighed in our mental calculus. Understanding the rules of thumb that our minds use to store information allows us to design more memorable products and improve customer subjective opinions about the user interface. In psychological research and in product design, small changes have a big impact on people's memories. When designing interfaces and experience, pay attention to the most intense moments of the typical user journeys, peaks, and the last moments, ends. Principle number 4, contribution effect. Imagine your favorite item you own. For men this can be, for example, a car, and in the event of something serious breakdown, most likely instead of buying a new one, a person will be ready to give a lot of money for repair. This happens due to the fact that because we own them for a long time, they acquired more special value for us, and we are likely to repair them rather than change them completely. An experiment was conducted in which scientists randomly divided the participants into buyers and sellers and gave the sellers coffee mug as a gift. They were willing to sell the mug for $7.12, while buyers were willing to pay $2.87. People value things that they already have more than the things that they could have. Fear of losing the mug, loss aversion, caused controversy in the valuation of the coffee mug. As an application of this effect, it can be test drive, phones in the store that you can play it as much as you want. We can send you clothes, and if you don't like it, you can send it back to us. Or for example, the description in the store that makes you feel like you already own the item. Principle number 5. Voters vote because that's who they are. Our behavior and our decisions are based on a moral and life principles that are laid in us from childhood. Let's say you recently watched a good movie with actor that you actually haven't seen before. You liked his acting so much that you proceed to watch 4 more movies with him that were like okay. On the next day you meet your friend to discuss one of the movies that you watched, and he says like this actor has no future, the movie was terrible, and etc. Most likely you will defend this actor since you have already spent 8 hours watching movies with him, and subconsciously you need to justify your act. Another example is the voters who go to vote every time. This is the act that emphasizes their individuality. Let's imagine that you visit the site to study how Facebook marketing works. You look through it, and eventually, after you finish reading, you decide to leave the site. You move the cursor to the upper left corner and the pop-up opens up for you. But in this case, it's not the usual pop-up that asks you to stay. It's a pop-up that asks you, how much do you spend on ads per month? Here's a free program for you. And when you download the program, you associate yourself with the resource, and it's more likely that next time you can buy a real product or order a service. Principle number 6. People like similar things and they don't even know about that. We are more likely to buy a particular product the second time if we bought it before. Therefore, a very common strategy for companies is that they give a free trial, for example a shower gel. You test it out, then you forget about it completely. In a month or 2 you go to the store to find a new shower gel because it's already ended, and you look through brandings and you see something familiar that you already forgot. It's most likely you will buy it. We use this principle from ancient times. For example, you select the circle of people that you want to communicate with, and if those people don't kill you, you make a note in your brain that those people are safe to spend time with, and you continue surviving basically. Because we're noting that this person or this circle of people is safe for us. When we meet a person with similar traits, we will most likely be biased towards him or her, and without any evidence we will conclude that this person is good, but in fact it may not be so. It also works other way around. When we meet something or someone that is not familiar to us, we are more fearful, more judgmental, and more restrictive, let's say. So make people feel like they're at home, and then you're more likely to maybe sell them something or maybe become their friend. Principle number 7. More trade-offs, less good decisions. The more we add options to choose from, the more compromises appear and the more difficult it is to make decisions. Look at this picture and tell me which of those options is suitable as an answer. Then this one. Then this one. Last example, it's more difficult to understand which option fits the best because we have a large number of objects with different shapes and colors, and in order to understand which element was suitable, it will be easier to draw it separately. Often we are faced with such situations that we have many different options with a lot of similar good or bad sides, and the more such options we have, the more difficult it is for us to make a decision, and the worse decision it will be. Also, when we have a larger amount of options, we will be less satisfied at the end by choosing something than the person, for example, who had only 2 options. Principle number 8. If you need to explain why you did it, it will increase dissatisfaction from taking decision. We are often making an impulsive purchases, and if somebody asks us to describe why we made this impulsive decision, we will be more dissatisfied with the decision that we've made. We will be asking ourselves why we did this. Was it right decision, and etc. According to Schwartz, people tend to be resistant to making decisions when there are so many trade-offs that can lead to delaying or not making a decision. It may not be as serious when choosing which new smartphone to buy or what to eat for lunch, but it may become very serious when you need to make a choice of your retirement funds for the future. Schwartz points to numerous studies that have shown that when there are 2 options with a clear winner, most people make a decision. But when people are presented with options that involve compromises, that creates conflict. All options become unappealing, and it makes less likely that people will make any decisions at all. Principle number 9. Reversible decision decrease dissatisfaction from making decision, but afterwards you feel less satisfied. In this case, the book says that if decision can be returned to starting point, then the satisfaction from this decision will be less than it could be. If decision is reversible, we could do it quickly and without precise information. information. If decision is irreversible, we'd better to slow down the decision process and make sure we're considering enough information and understanding the problem as thoroughly as we can. Therefore, in the case when the user works with a product, on the contrary, it's good that he will make a bad decision and return everything to initial state, so he will quickly learn how to use the product and not worry about everything. For example, Google specifically made undo in Gmail with timing. This allows person to return the sent mail when in fact it is sent a few seconds later, so the person, if did something wrong, can correct himself. Therefore, we should always provide options when the user wants to break everything and return everything to its place. Final principle: missed opportunities. People basically are frustrated when they think about, I didn't choose the correct soulmate, I didn't choose correct milk, pair of shoes, country to live, etc. and etc. Author says, in order to avoid disappointment, we need first make specific times when we make deliberate decisions, and the second, if we strive to find the best options for ourselves, we will not be as happy as we could be. I hope this video will help you to understand how hard it is sometimes to make a decision, and will help you to design best products at the end. Please subscribe, I will create more videos about interface design, about game design, and etc. I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching.